Hey everybody, welcome to the Cliff Yates Show. We are doing a live episode today, live to YouTube and X. So welcome everybody, and if you're watching on the replay, please, if you're listening on a podcast platform, head over to YouTube, check out my ugly mug on the video, and subscribe to the channel because it tells the computer people are interacting with the show. And they'll show it to more people. And that's what we're trying to do, expand our reach here. Now, I'm doing something a little bit different today, as I usually do. But, I'm not abandoning my motivation, inspiration, personal growth, things so that we can get better, be better, become more, expand our reach, have a positive influence on other people. But, I was checking some things out in the news today, and I thought, I'm going to share some of those police stories that I saw, and I got some emails asking me some police-related questions over the past few weeks, and so I accumulated them, and I put them in a list of 20 questions that they were police-related questions, so I thought I'm going to answer them live with you, and I got the chat box open, so if you have your own questions, if it's not too hateful or mean or nasty, I'll put it up and I'll answer your questions. Ask the Comedy Cop today. And thank you for all the new subscribers. We got a whole bunch load. If you haven't already, if you're just checking in now, please take a minute and subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so that you're notified when the next video comes out. Mostly positive impact stuff. Mostly I'm doing personal growth and motivation, inspiration, that kind of thing. But today I'm gonna comment on some, topical news stories revolving around the police and law enforcement. Some things that are going on with a publication that I really check in with on a daily basis. Law Enforcement Today, and Kyle Reyes, the owner, who is expanding his reach and taking on, and he's joining forces with us with some other platforms. Joining forces, I think he's bought them up. And so he's consolidating them, and he reports online numerous police stories of the day, and also he is a supporter of the police. So we got both. He doesn't shy away from true stories with the police, whether they show police in good or bad light, but he is a police supporter back in the blue. So I always read Law Enforcement Today. I got a couple stories there that I want to really make a couple comments on and share with you today. So let me read from Law Enforcement Today. This is from Kyle Reyes, the owner of Law Enforcement Today. And he's kind of giving he wrote an article kind of stating what was going on with his publication. Obviously, he's a believer. He's a God-fearing man, so God bless him. And so we that's even another reason we should check out his publication if you're my fellow law enforcement family. Go to Law Enforcement Today. Kyle Reyes wrote this: "Blessed are the peacekeepers, for they shall be called the children of God." Straight from the good book. And Kyle writes, "You're obviously familiar with the term, the thin blue line. In case you aren't, it's a term that typically refers to the idea of the police as the line which keeps society from descending into violent chaos. The thin blue line refers to the color of the uniforms of many police departments. For years, we've watched that thin blue line seem to get thinner and thinner. The war on cops, the riots, the defunding of police, politicians weaponizing law enforcement." That's when a lot of my fellow retired law enforcement and maybe even, I didn't hear from any current coppers, but when we were being used during the pandemic to enforce mandated policies that were really not law, like mandatory mask wearing, which was further throwing a divide between the public and the police. And I know a lot of us retired officers were not going with that program. And so Kyle mentions it here, that the politicians, I know he's referring to 2020, when the pandemic occurred, politicians weaponizing law enforcement officers being forced to choose between the Constitution and the enforcement of unconstitutional mandates, mask mandates, closing of businesses. Today, as the power of the largest police news outlet in America, I'm going to make a pretty bold statement. Oh, that's a pretty bold statement already, that he's the largest police news outlet in the nation. Is he? I bet he is. I love Law Enforcement Today. Great stories. Check it out. But he makes a bold statement. He says, as of this morning, the thin blue line is gone. Now, before you stop reading, let me explain to you why it's gone. It's not because of virtue signaling, cries of discrimination, or any other BS. It's because it's been replaced by the big blue line. I like that. The big blue line. Huge announcement. Today, I'm humbled to announce a series of acquisitions. Acquisitions, that's what I meant. He's acquiring other platforms that have created the largest voice the police community and its supporters have ever had. I like it because it tells police stories and it welcomes the supporters of police. On July 4th, we acquired Law Enforcement Today. So I guess that's when I started reading Law Enforcement Today, was last summer. On October 3rd, we acquired the YouTube channel of Mike the Cop from our good friend and brother in Christ, Michael Edwards, a.k.a. Mike the Cop. Man, we're talking about 547,000 YouTube subscribers. Well, he's got us beat here. So if you haven't already, we can catch up. Please subscribe. I'm going to put the button right there. Hit it. Hit it now if you're on YouTube. And if you're not watching on YouTube or listening, come on over later. When you're done listening on a podcast platform, get over to YouTube, The Cliff Yates Show, and please subscribe. Hello, Estlin Burkholder. Thank you for checking in on this live broadcast. I'm talking about Law Enforcement Today. It's one of the law enforcement outlets that I look to for police news. And if you're new, Estlin, I am a retired police officer, 35 years, 5 years in upstate New York, and then 30 with the LA Sheriff's Department, the largest sheriff's department in the world. But I've been retired for over 12 years. So I've been doing stand-up comedy, acting, and now I have the podcast and produced a couple independent films, doing stuff. And that's a message that we try to tell our fellow officers. Be more than a cop. Be involved in the community. Be involved in other outlets. So Law Enforcement Today has acquired the acquisition, anyways, the YouTube channel. He's coalescing with Mike the Cop on YouTube. They have 547,000 subscribers as of this writing. And today we have officially closed on the acquisition of Blue Lives Matter and the Police Tribune. I like that because we actually did, when I was LA's comedy cop, because I was a cop by day, comedian by night, and I thought, wow, I'm one of the few active police officers who is actually a cop and a stand-up comedian. However, I found out quickly that there are several comedy cops out there, and we got together, 6 or 7 of us, and we had a Blue Lives Matter comedy tour, and we went to Gotham Comedy Club in New York City, Las Vegas. We went to Connecticut. We were in the Midwest. 3 big shows in Las Vegas, and they were all charity programs that we put on, and we had a lot of fun, and there's still a lot of coppers out there. Kevin Jordan, a good friend of mine who, at the time I was with the LA Sheriff, he was with the LAPD. He retired, and for the last 30 years, he's been full-time stand-up. He's on a lot of the cruise ships. Kevin Jordan, you may have seen him with his big flashlight on the stage somewhere. So now Law Enforcement Today says that they are the largest police news outlet in the world and one of the largest Second Amendment and conservative in the Second Amendment and conservative space. Here are the numbers. Approximately 3.2 million followers on Facebook, 165,000 on Instagram. I told you YouTube, LinkedIn, 500 grand followers. He's got Twitter, TikTok, and he's got an email database of over 1 million subscribers, and they are growing. What does that mean for the law and order community? It's simple. We are combining all of these audiences to bring law enforcement across America the show of support that they desperately need and deserve. And that's so great. I can't support that enough because this defunding and these police attacks over the last few years just been breaking my heart, because there was a time right after 9/11. Estlin, if you have some questions, please put them up there and I will answer them for sure when I can. And I was just saying, after 9/11, I was working the Universal City Walk out of the West Hollywood Sheriff Station for LA County. And after 9/11, it was just the support was amazing. Everybody wanted to have their pictures taken with us on the City Walk. Tourists would constantly be asking, can we have our pictures taken with you? And just shaking our hands, thanking us for our service. It was really a great time. Not that we have our bad apples that put a bad shadow on law enforcement, but it's so small. But of course, even one can have a big impact. Oh, thank you very much, Estelin, for your comment. And where was I when I was reading the law enforcement today here? Okay, this is from Kyle Reyes, the owner. We will be deploying teams of cinematographers across the country capturing the stories of everything from agencies to epidemics, such as the opioid crisis, revealing what's really happening on the border. And I got a couple border stories that actually Law Enforcement Today highlighted in today's issue. And they're going to deal with the survivors of officers killed in the line of duty and more. We will be putting heavy emphasis on what's really behind the body cam and dash cam footage that the media likes to manipulate. And we'll be highlighting the stories of amazing officers across the country that get ignored by the press. All the positive stories, and they're out there. Law enforcement officials are the thin blue line. That's right, Estelin. Thank you so much. I appreciate your comment. Awesome. Thanks for your support. I appreciate you. We are partnering with organizations such as One Community to bring cops and inner city youth together. Isn't that great? We're launching a home law enforcement today for parents who are sick and tired of the radical agenda in schools and society to normalize pedophilia by sexualizing children. And we're about to give those who believe in fighting for the most innocent among us a very big boost. We're expanding a series in partnership with Trudy Jacobson called Great American Women, featuring female first responders. I love it. I had some great female partners in the LA Sheriff's Department. I married one, and she worked for the LA Sheriff's Department for 25 years, and we're still together today. 2 cops together, married, retired. So my wife is an awesome cop, and I had many great, aggressive street female police officers that I worked with and was proud to serve with. So I'm glad that they're going to be highlighting some female first responders. We've signed a partnership with Real American Stories to launch Season 3 of Real Man TV, featuring officers and veterans doing real man things across the country. It will be on national television starting in 2024. Well, we're in 2025, so that must already be going on. We're doubling down on our support for the National Law Enforcement Memorial Fund. Agencies and officers will soon have support on everything from staffing to equipping their officers. Maybe this article was old. And from the owner, Kyle Reyes. Friends, this is just the tip of the iceberg. Our board of advisors is made up of the heads of some of the largest police organizations in the world, and we're going to be working with them to identify the needs of police and the community across the country. Our mission statement is simple. Law enforcement today seeks to serve and honor God by defending the biblical and constitutional principles of law and order, protecting the peacekeepers, and fighting to protect children, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness by speaking righteousness and truth. Kyle Reyes, you're getting me all fired up. You know we are all about backing our brothers and sisters in blue. As you can see, we have a weapon here. We have a little sheriff's car. And we have this. Look at this. This is a carving of me in uniform that my dad carved. Even carved the LA County Sheriff badge in wood. This is all wood. Even the gun, the holster tilts. Put the sergeant stripes on there. I retired as a sergeant. Thanks, Dad. Look at that. He carved this thing. I can't even make a stick figure on paper. I did not inherit any of his artistic talent. Oh, I'm going to continue with the article. We work to humanize the men and women behind the badge, to honor those who serve, to protect the warriors, to remember the fallen, to support the families, and to return America to a country that truly fights for justice for all. If you want to stay in the loop, sign up for our email newsletter. I already have. I read it on a daily basis. And if you want to help support the cause, consider joining their monthly video streaming platform, letunity.com, and all proceeds go to help the initiatives that he talked about. But most importantly, I have 2 tasks. This is from the owner of Law Enforcement Today. The first, pray. Pray for the safety of those who serve and protect, for their families, for their agencies, and for our team. We ask that you pray for focus and discernment. The second, share our stories. Share this video. The second, Big Tech is doing everything in their power to throttle stories that are about law and order and good cops. The way we overcome that is by all of you sharing them. Buckle up. The thin blue line is gone and the big thick blue line is here, according to Kyle Reyes. The big blue line. It's here to fight evil in America. Did I Estelin, I'm going to put your comment up there because I think that's cool. Did you inherit his hair? Asking because your hair is not. Oh, thank you. Yeah, 67 years old and I still got all my hair. That's what I do like that. Thank you. How about Estelin Burkholder, a positive commenter? I appreciate positive comments. You know, there are trolls out there. No matter what, you could be curing cancer, and you're going to have people throwing negative things at you. But you know what? It says in the Bible, you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be made fun. Lies are going to be said about you in Jesus' name. Go forward, rejoice anyways. And so that's what we do here. Thank you, Estelin Burkholder. Positive comments. And let's go to a couple of stories that were in Law Enforcement Today. And one was kind of amazing. Down at the border, these drug cartels apparently, or someone related to them probably, who would have the money to do this, they cloned a Border Patrol K9 unit to the detail that it actually had the license plate on it. So if you ran the plate, it would come back to, right, Border Patrol K9 services, and they were transporting immigrants, illegals, across the border into Texas on this fake Border Patrol vehicle. I mean, I thought that was an interesting, it's just amazing the amount of money and what they go to. Smugglers using cloned Border Patrol K9 with 24 illegal immigrants in it. This is February 15th from El Paso, Texas. A Mexican national and 2 American co-conspirators. We got a couple Americans helping here for the money, apparently, aiding and abetting these crimes. They're facing arraignment in El Paso after they allegedly transported 24 illegal immigrants in a vehicle retrofitted or cloned. This is the first I've heard of them cloning a vehicle to resemble a U.S. Border Patrol K9 vehicle. The indictment filed in the U.S. District Court for the District of Arizona revealed the allegations that Uriel Perez, Jovani Sanchez, and Kevin Valdez Ramirez were engaged in a conspiracy to smuggle illegal immigrants into the U.S. from a break in the border wall at Andrade, California, to a home in Yuma, Arizona. According to a border report, a white Ford F-150 was customized down to the license plate number to match a U.S. Border Patrol K9 unit in the area that was used to pick up illegal immigrants at the wall on January 8th and may have been used for another smuggling run in September. Thank you, Estelin. Another comment. I'm going to try to put that up afterwards. You're a fellow Christian. God bless you. Reading from Law Enforcement Today. The complaint affidavit included a statement from a federal agent saying using vehicles that appear to be Border Patrol units or construction crew vehicles are tactics commonly used by members of human smuggling organizations to conceal illegal activity when operating near the border wall. This is common. Can you imagine? They are doctoring up these vehicles that make them look like they're construction vehicles for the wall or actual U.S. Border Patrol units. And according to an agent, this is not uncommon. What they will go to for human smuggling, it's unbelievable how bad human smuggling has to be. I just picked up my wife recently from the Orlando International Airport, and when you go in the bathrooms at the airport, there's a sticker on the inside of the bathroom stalls. If you are being smuggled, call this number or get a hold of a TSA agent. So it must be so bad that they actually put these stickers up in the airports because they are apparently using the airlines for human smuggling. ICE agents observed multiple subjects attempting to flee into neighboring properties as the agents approached, and they chased the car. I left that out. So they followed the smuggling vehicle, and when the Explorer came to a stop at another nearby residence, agents made the arrest. And a scene described as chaotic. Can you imagine? I'm sure everybody was running for their lives. ICE agents observed numerous subjects attempting to flee into neighboring properties as the agents approached and detained them. 15 more people I guess we left X. I guess we're limited on X, but we're continuing on YouTube, everybody. All right. So we were at the vehicle. People were fleeing. They were running into neighborhoods. And people were screaming throughout the neighborhood. They could be heard emanating from a home. A woman with a young child nearby was calling out for help, telling agents she was injured and couldn't get up. Border Patrol agents called for medical transportation and swept the home where they found more illegal immigrants. All told, the ICE action led to the capture of 24 illegal immigrants on the property. The outlet reported that one of the men apprehended, Kevin Valdez Ramirez of Mexico, told agents that he was in the U.S. on a visitor visa, but was arranging to pay $13,000 to the smugglers to bypass immigration checkpoints on the highway to get to L.A. Allegedly, the smugglers offered to deduct $800 to $1,000 off the fee if he would manage the illegal immigrants in the home. Well, isn't that nice of them to give a discount? If you'll manage these guys, gals, these illegals, you know what? Take care of them for a while. We're going to give you a little discount. That's nice. They got a little payment hierarchy. Border Report noted that court documents state he would take photos of all the illegal immigrants in the home and send them on to the smugglers. All three men were arraigned Wednesday, and Perez has a hearing on February 9th. So that was nice of him to make a deal, get a discount, and then send pictures. Hey, proof of life. They're still alive and well. Send more money. And we will get them to L.A., where they belong. Not here in Free Florida. That's where I am. Free Florida, everybody. There's a big difference. I was a cop in L.A. and I escaped to Free Florida. There's another story. Law enforcement today. They have great stories. Oh, this was kind of interesting. Report U.S. Border Patrol to stop using body-worn cameras in the field immediately, which I thought, that's not right. In a lot of cases, having these cameras really helps and protects the officers. So I wanted to read that story. And there's a reason why. Now, if you've been watching the news, when Tom Homan and Pete Hegseth were down on the border, and they were shutting that border down, that they were receiving threats by the Mexican cartels that they would be taking action against the Border Patrol, and they can expect attacks on their lives. And they made the statement, Tom Homan and Hegseth, hey, Well, if that happens, you can expect an immediate response that'll be deadly for you. I don't know if they said deadly for you, but it should be. But now this makes sense coming on the heels of that story out of Washington. A statement sent to the U.S. Border Patrol agents that was obtained by News Nation states that Border Patrol agents will stop using body-worn cameras immediately in all field operations. The announcement comes after social media posts revealed how to identify Border Patrol agents as well as Customs and Enforcement agents. The memo stated all U.S. Border Patrol agents will cease the use of body-worn cameras in all operational environments. The directive follows notification regarding a potential security risk. The statement read, pending completion of investigation and risk mitigation, all agents will stand down the use of their body-worn cameras until further notice. Additional guidance and information will be disseminated as it is received. On the social media platform Reddit, one user claimed that agents could be identified by using BLE radar by F. Dorid. BLE radar is a mobile application that functions by scanning for Bluetooth low-energy devices like phones, smart watches, and speakers. Well, apparently they believe that it would also pick up the transmission of these body-worn cameras, which I'm sure they are Bluetooth connected to the units that they are driving. So that is a danger because the threat is there from the cartels to take action against these officers. And now there's social media posts saying this is how you can identify agents in the area. And so that makes sense now why that immediate order to immediately suspend the use of body-worn cameras makes sense. And the article goes on. Other social media posts stated that the devices can be tracked from a distance of 100 yards or more and can trigger improvised explosive device attacks. Fox News reported that the cameras used by Border Patrol agents are Avon body cameras, which the social media post claims are devices BLE radar can detect. So not only could they detect these body-worn cameras and thus identifying the location of the agents, but these body-worn cameras transmitting the signal could actually trigger an explosive device that these cartels could set up, knowing where the officers and the agents were. It wouldn't be too hard, or they could just put them in an area that's usually heavily tracked and just leave these explosive units there until someone comes through with a body-worn camera. That is, and in most of these agencies, these body-worn cameras are video recording constantly, so they're constantly putting out that signal back to usually a unit where it's being recorded on a hard drive. According to The Hill, ICE is increasing its deportations of immigrants who are here illegally in the United States. They are doing so by using various data sources like commercial databases, driver's records, and utility records to find and deport illegal immigrants who are subject to removal. I guess they've doubled, right? So in his first few weeks back in the Oval Office, President Donald Trump signed a memo to prepare a facility at Guantanamo Bay in Cuba for the use of housing deported illegal immigrants. Since the beginning of February, the daily average of gotaways or illegal immigrants who successfully entered the United States without being apprehended at the southern border has fallen to just 132 per day, 93% drop from high seen under the former president, Joe Biden. Wow. Data obtained from Fox News showed that during the fiscal year of 2023, 670,674 known gotaways were recorded by the agency, which equates out to more than 1,800 per day. Now they're down to 100. On Friday, February 4th, Trump's border czar Tom Homan told Fox News Digital that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez could be impeding ICE enforcement because AOC went online to give tips. This is how you can evade being captured by ICE. This is how you can avoid being arrested and deported. I would say that is interfering with the federal government doing their jobs. I would say that would merit a charge. Let's see what happens. Sometimes we don't see a lot of accountability to what some of these government officials do that might normally be considered crimes for you and me. Estelon, thank you for that. Yes, body cams protect the law enforcement from false allegations. Estelon, you are so right. When we first, many years ago in LA, we first got the dash cams. And officers were kind of against that. And then all of a sudden, those dash cams were exonerating the officer for false allegations. Not only that, what happens is people were being stopped. They were being taken out of their car, drunk, dead drunk, ties disheveled, the jacket's torn, the one shoe has a missing heel, they're hobbling back, they're drooling, can't talk. Now they're on the dash cam, and it's being recorded, stumbling around, and they're making statements. I've only had 26 beers. That's all I've had. And what was happening before the dash cams is you would get to court 3 months later or longer, and then the person that was arrested for drunk driving came in, crisp suit, tie, well-spoken, business person. Your Honor, look at me. Didn't happen. Never had a drink. Very likable. Looks great. Man, once these dash cams were in place, what was happening was before they would start their trial, they would the prosecuting attorney would take the defense attorney in to the to a side room, and they would show him, we're disclosing a videotape that we want to bring into evidence. And so, full disclosure, here's the tape. And they would show the dash cam footage of the guy stumbling, drooling, just obviously drunk, staggering. And those people would immediately make a plea deal. We will plead guilty. And so all of these convictions started happening one after the other because of these dash cams. So, Estelin, you are so right. Not only did it protect the officer from false allegations, it assisted in convictions. And it also protects the public. The public can know, hey, I'm being taped. And so if they're worried about an officer abusing them or doing something illegal, they have confidence to know that the officers themselves are recording. Of course, you can record yourself, but if you don't, you know the officer has a body camera on, and through FOIA, a Freedom of Information Act request, you can get that footage, and they have to give you the footage of that body cam worn by the officer. And if they got rid of that footage, there's going to be big trouble. All right, so that's that. And there was another. I want to talk about another article that's in Law Enforcement Today. Thank you, Kyle Reyes. This is from him specifically, the owner of Law Enforcement Today. I didn't even know his name until I've been reading Law Enforcement Today since last summer, and now I know why I like it. Largest police news outlet in the world endorses the warrior needed to lead the Secret Service. Now, I don't know anything about this guy, so I'm going to do some research. But here's the article. Law Enforcement Today, under the auspices of the 1776 Project, including the Police Tribune and Blue Lives Matter, is the largest law enforcement publication in the world. Well, okay, he's starting the article with, look what we've done. We've got together with all these other things, and now we're the big dog. We are the big blue line. On July 13th, the country looked on in horror as President Donald Trump, but for a fateful turn of his head, would have been assassinated on live television. I was watching from our summer place in upstate New York that July 13th. Just weeks later, another attempt was deterred by an alert Secret Service agent. In the following weeks, the American people learned of serious shortcomings in the United States Secret Service that emanated from the top. Instead of being laser focused on their primary mission of protecting the President of the United States and retired presidents and other dignitaries, the agency was instead focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. The former director resigned in disgrace, and many of our friends in Secret Service are looking forward to strong leadership. With all of that in mind, law enforcement today is proud to endorse President Trump's selection of Sean Curran as the next director of the United States Secret Service, joining the Federal Law Enforcement Officers Association in doing so. I'm reading a comment, I'm sorry, by Estelin. She's so great. Curran has been with the agency since 2001 and was the assistant special agent in charge of the Presidential Protective Service during President Trump's first term. As the federal law enforcement agency noted, Curran is known for leading complex security operations and precision and courage. Curran is widely respected throughout the Secret Service. He is known as a problem solver who collaborates on issues. He has a reputation for caring for his people and is considered very approachable. We noted, and Federal Law Enforcement Organization of America confirmed that during the attempt on President Trump's life in Butler, Pennsylvania last summer, he immediately jumped into action, risking his own life to protect the president. This act of selfless bravery makes Curran precisely the person the American people need to lead the Secret Service. Well, if he's good with Trump, then he's good with us. Sean Curran will restore the Secret Service dignity and respect and resurrect public confidence in the agency's ability to protect our leaders. He will make the agency laser focused on its primary mission and away from the woke ideology that led the United States Secret Service to take its eyes off the ball, almost costing President Trump his life. We applaud President Trump for this outstanding selection and look forward to the United States Secret Service regaining its stellar reputation, and as we stated in previous endorsements, we will gladly expose and shame any of the rhinos and elected officials who make the mistake of not doing the same. That was really a great... Estelin made another comment. Let me put that up, Estelin, because we are live, and if you haven't already, people just chiming in, please subscribe to the channel. This is the Cliff Yates Show, normally devoted, laser-focused on personal growth, inspiration, motivation, how we can be better, become better, be more, expand our influence, having a positive impact on other people. Today we're going over some police-related news articles, and we are looking at some police-related stories because, if you're new to the show, I was a cop for 35 years. Estelin says, yes, turn head to check a number on the screen. That's what saved his life. That's why it was a God-ordained act that happened. Estelin, I believe in my heart, and I believe everybody else believes that God has his hand on President Trump that day. There was no way, people say, that you could have missed from that distance with that rifle, with that AR-15 type rifle. There's just no way. It was not that far away. From law enforcement point of view, it's impossible for that to have occurred. There's no way a 15-year-old with no police experience, with the task of deciding where to put law enforcement, would have picked that building right in front of the speaking dais, and he would have put somebody right on that roof. And if he didn't do that, he would have secured the bottom of the building. You could have put explorers. You could have put reserve officers. You could have put 1-2 people just circling, maybe with a canine. How about a volunteer? Anybody, because that was a hot target spot. It's just impossible for that to occur there. And they've already been over this a million times, but it's an impossibility. Whenever you have a command post, when you have multiple agencies, you have a command post set up so that the commanding officers know exactly where everybody's positioned. Usually there's a grease board and people, where do you have people located? Well, the Secret Service are here. We have somebody on a roof over here. Somebody's on a water tower over here. Somebody's overseeing this command and double checking the initial supervisors, somebody above them. Then there's a liaison with the other agencies. We have outside law enforcement that's securing the border. There's got to be radio communications between both Secret Service and the local agencies. So when they found this guy running around with this scope, they would have been saying on the radio, hey, this guy's running around with a scope. They wouldn't even have to notify the Secret Service. They should have had a radio. The person at the command post would have had a radio, and he would have heard this. What is this? Get the president off the stage right now. I'm not going to go into that again because it's just frustrating how that could ever have happened with a so-called the Secret Service. Okay, but now we have a new head. This current guy. Let's see how he works out. And apparently, Trump has his support of him. He wants him. He's picked him, and so we are going to give him our support also, because if it's Trump's, it's ours. That's the way it is. And I love all Trump's picks. There's not one person I don't love in all of his picks. I love Tulsi Gabbard, lifelong Democrat. Now she's coming on board. Conservative, Republican Party. She's come on board to get the right, a veteran, a military veteran. She ran for president before, and she jumped on the Trump train while others are getting tied to the tracks. She jumped on board to work for America. Her book, For Love of Country, is a fantastic book. Tulsi Gabbard, she's been confirmed. And we got RFK Jr. confirmed. I got an article I want to go over with him talking about Make America Healthy Again. I'm all about that. And listen, I can't feel better than I do right now, age 67, because, number one, exercise. Number two, I'm eating nutrient-dense foods. I am not eating sugar-laden drinks. I'm eating healthy fats, cutting down on the carbohydrates. I'm getting plenty of sun. I'm lifting weights. I'm sprinting every once in a while. I play tennis. I make sure I don't do things that might get me hurt or killed. Drink and drive, texting while driving. I am constantly learning new things and learning new skills. And I'm expanding my mind all the time. You do those things, and I'm telling you, longevity is going to be yours. You're not only going to add years to your life, you're going to add life to your years. I guarantee that. And that's why I think it's great that RFK Jr. has been confirmed, because he's been really, for years, he's been suing chemical companies for dumping all their poisons in water. And he's been leading that fight. And Trump said, you come on board, you can pick up that flag, make America healthy again. And I think it's a great thing. And let me go to that article. So we are live on YouTube. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. It tells the computer that people are interacting with the show. And they'll show it to more people. Estlin Burkholder, my stupid dog, could have supervised security better. Would have been... Oh, my God, you're so right. I know you only have joking. I mean, we have to joke at this point, but it's tragic. I mean, if you want to say... There's evidence. If you want... For people who say, well, the cops are dumb and a bunch of stupid buffoons. Well, I'm telling you, you would have had plenty of evidence on that situation. I mean, it just can't happen. Working for the LA Sheriff's Department on a simple robbery suspect, not the President of the United States, a simple robbery suspect who fled into a neighborhood, we would immediately set up a containment of the area. We would have, if I was the deputy on scene alone, I would set up a command post. I would be requesting the Aero Bureau, the helicopters, dogs, canines. I had my own wax board. I would put it on the trunk of the car. I would start putting units where I wanted them to seal off the area. If we were, maybe we had chased this person in another jurisdiction, I would call for a representative from that jurisdiction so that they could talk to their units, and someone would stay with me at the command post so they would know what was happening in their jurisdiction. There would be cross communication. Okay, but through every adversity, there's an equal or greater opportunity. So let's hope that we're going forward. We got a new head of the Secret Service. Trump has survived, and all glory to God that God saved him. So sometimes God does things for his glory to be shown, and it was shown there, and we should step forward and give glory to God for saving President Trump's life. And talking about his picks, I love Pete Hegseth as a pick, and I loved Tulsi Gabbard, Kash Patel, you name it. All of his picks are great. RFK Jr., another article, I believe this is also in... No, this is from the Federalist. Let me give credit where credit is due. I always do. Give credit where credit is due. RFK Jr. 5 things RFK can do to make America healthy again. There's a gal already who she was on a panel with RFK Jr. I think she's called the Food Babe. I forgot her name. If anybody knows her name, I was just watching. She's so great. She's called the Food Babe, and she really got like 400,000 or 500,000 signatures, and she made, on her own, she was able to get Kellogg's to stop using a dye in some cereals that were banned in Europe. So Kellogg was not allowed to use that dye in other countries, but in the United States they could use it, and because they said the kids love the color, even though it was a carcinogen that causes cancer. But she, on her own, through signatures and a lot of heat put on the cereal company, got that red dye discontinued. I just think that's great. So there's a lot you can do as an individual. Don't think you can't. The power of one is with us, and mediocrity is not an option with you and me. That's not our standard. So let's go this article is by Tristan Justice of the Federalist, to give credit. And let me read a little bit about this. The confirmation of America's new Health and Human Services Secretary, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., offers a generational opportunity to reinvigorate the nation's health before the twin epidemics of obesity and chronic disease become endemic. I think it already is endemic. If I'm given this is RFK Jr., if I'm given the chance to fix the chronic disease crisis and reform our food production, I promise that within 2 years we will watch the chronic disease burden lift dramatically, Kennedy said in his Phoenix endorsement speech of then Republican nominee Donald Trump. We will make America healthy again. First thing he's going to do is flip that food pyramid. Number 1, the federal government abandoned the archaic food pyramid as the official dietary visual guide in 2011. But the incumbent My Plate infograph to replace the pyramid of the food industry is not much better. Then First Lady Michelle Obama unveiled the replacement chart more than a decade ago as she led the Obama administration's crusade against childhood obesity on the eve of a renaissance in nutrition, and it did little or no good, as we got about 77% of our teen population, they can't even qualify for the military. This is a quick, simple reminder for all of us to be more mindful of the foods that we're eating. You know what? Without the government getting involved in changing the food pyramid, we on our own can self-educate ourselves. I'll help you in deciding the nutrient-dense foods you need to eat. It's time to get to nutrient-dense foods that are rich in those nutrients that we need for energy. We need healthy fats. We need protein and carbohydrates. We can process those things, and if you go heavy on the protein, heavy on the healthy fats, get rid of those sugar-laden drinks, which causes chronic insulin and glucose levels in the bloodstream, and that's why we end up with insulin sensitivity, insulin resistance, which eventually leads to diabetes. But with proper foods and exercise, you can make yourself insulin sensitive, which will allow insulin, the super hormone, to open up those cells, let those nutrients in, and you'll become a fat burning machine. We're going to change the food pyramid. Number 2, we're going to reform food subsidies and SNAP. Federal food subsidies distort agricultural markets and serve as corporate handouts to the food industry. More than 20% of American calories are filled with industrialized products subsidized by taxpayers. We pay for our own poisons in America. The only reason farmers grow so much wheat, corn, and soybeans are because of federal programs that incentivize their production for colossal food processors. Kennedy should work to reformulate food subsidies in the direction of healthier, better foods such as organic animal agriculture, and that should be done over the mass production of corn and soy ready for engineering into frankenfoods, fake foods that are not real. They're going to be converted to fat in your body because they're not real foods, and they're all over the grocery stores. If you do some research, you're going to find out that the major tobacco companies long ago invested in these food companies, and they switched gears to get us hooked on frankenfoods, fake foods, foods that would hook us just sugar-laden foods or fake sugars that we can't see that are in these products. 9% of all supplemental nutritional assistance programs funding goes to sweetened drinks, according to 2011 data. Kennedy wrote, "It's nonsensical for U.S. taxpayers to spend tens of billions of dollars subsidizing junk that harms the health of low-income Americans." While Kennedy was nominated to lead HHS and not the agency in charge of SNAP benefits, which is the Department of Agriculture, that doesn't mean Kennedy has no influence over the issue as the administration's chief crusader on obesity and chronic disease. Food giants capture billions of tax dollars every year in federal food stamp spending, and Americans are sick of funding bad habits. Oh, you're right, Estlin. High fructose corn syrup is the worst. It's not like cane sugar, which is a natural, or beer sugar. It acts differently in the body. You are so right. And Estlin, my wife, is Cuban, and listen, they grew up on sugar cane, natural sugar. It acts so much different in the body. These foods are loaded with all sorts of chemicals and high fructose corn syrup. Why? Because they need shelf life. The longer it lasts on the shelf, the more profits. It won't go bad. It can stay there longer until it's bought by some idiot. When I grew up in the 70s, 60s, and 70s, the bread was different. They weren't using dwarf wheat. The wheat that they use is now different. It's for mass consumption. The dwarf wheat is just different. That's why people now need to be gluten-free. Their stomach is all screwed up because of these glutens and the different wheat. The bread when I was growing up, if you didn't eat it in 3 days, it got moldy and it was no good. Some of these breads now, you buy them, you put them on the counter. 6 months later, they're still soft, moist, and you could eat them. There's a reason why they last so long. Thanks for that comment, Estelin. I love it. Oh, prioritize preventive medicine. I can't say enough about that. On my health plan, when I go to the doctor, if I go for my yearly checkup, which I do, I got to pay out of pocket quite a bit because it's not to treat anything. It's for preventive. Anything preventive, I have to pay for myself. Insurance company pays for when you're sick, not health care. It's sick care. hey, when you're sick, come see us. Otherwise, if you're going to see us anyways, then you're going to pay because we're here for your sickness. We're not here for your health. Well, if you keep us healthy, then you won't have sickness and you'll save a lot of money, insurance company. I can't believe insurance companies are not promoting preventive medicine, which can be foods, but there's no profit in promoting broccoli. No profit in that. And I had another thought on that. We need to make our food less toxic. RFK is going to take care of that. Far too many chemicals in everyday American food have been banned in the European Union due to their high toxicity and detrimental effects on health. For example, most Americans probably have no idea that titanium dioxide, a food additive that creates a shine or brightness, lurks in 13,000 items, including popular brands of soups and mac and cheese. In 2021, the European Food Safety Authority found titanium dioxide can cause chromosomal damage and break DNA strands. Research also shows that it can cause neurotoxicity and inflammation in animals. The European Commission banned titanium dioxide as a food additive in the European Union 3 years ago. This is just one of many examples, though. It's time for the FDA to re-examine toxic ingredients like titanium dioxide, potassium bromate, a suspected carcinogen causing cancer, brominated vegetable oil known for causing nervous system damage, and I can't say this word, propylparben, a preservative associated with fertility disruption and hormonal imbalances. Too many chemicals in our foods, everybody. I'm telling you, you have to focus on nutrient-dense foods like they only contain one thing, like an egg, natural protection. Now, is it best to get natural or private farm-raised eggs that, are free range? Yeah, it's better. It's better to go to the farmers markets where you can get locally grown vegetables and fruits. They're going to be the healthiest for you. But if you can't, at least stick to eating these things: meat, fish, fowl, eggs, vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds. Stay away from sugar drinks, chemically altered oils, and breads. Now, I still have bread every once in a while when I go out to a nice Italian restaurant, and I think their bread might be a little bit different than the chemically laden bread that you find in the grocery store. I have some bread. Number 5, we're going to recruit Melania. Don't be Obama. Beauty is subjective. Health is not. Both are aspirational and neither have to be toxic. This I didn't know. Melania Trump has what most others don't: a portfolio as an internationally recognized supermodel whose memoir redefines body positivity in an era of corporate-sponsored gluttony. In her book, published last fall, Trump celebrated her sober lifestyle, free of drugs and alcohol, while revering the human body. We should revere the human body. The female form was once revered and honored in Western culture, she said, writing in response to a controversy around her previous nude modeling. I believed then, as I do now, that women should take pride in their bodies, not feel shame. Trump's participation in the latest obesity crusade doesn't need to turn this into a vanity campaign. Her figure speaks for itself, that's for sure. Food and pharmaceutical giants, meanwhile, as outlined in Fat and Unhappy, have bankrolled apathetic messages of body positivity to enable gluttonous lifestyles that can be mined for sick care dollars. To pretend the pursuit of physical attraction is not an incentive to motivate Americans to eat and move better is a delusional exercise in the kind of corporate-sponsored activism that has doomed past efforts, especially when sexual vitality is probably one of the strongest impulses to incentivize a restoration of health and wellness. And you know that from advertising. They use sex in every advertisement that they can. Looks aren't everything, but they're not nothing either. Was Michelle Obama dancing on television with Ellen DeGeneres really going to convince Americans to eat more vegetables? No. But videos of Kennedy flexing six-pack abs while doing push-ups in his 70s probably have. So too will a first lady standing beside Kennedy showing off her flawless skin as the pair stresses the virtues of healthy eating. But while Obama's activism tried to make an ally of the food industry and lectured children to put down cupcakes, the Trump movement is determined to convince Americans to make better choices by educating the public on what's actually in those cupcakes. The First Lady has already pledged to launch a second crusade for childhood wellness. Any initiative to be best, however, would be incomplete without an educational component on nutrition, given the recent renaissance in metabolic psychiatry, which has traced a myriad of mental disorders to improper diet and lifestyles. A new campaign to promote exercise and healthy eating is also a natural fit to drive a rebranded initiative with its origins in the elimination of childhood bullying. Name nastier comments kids have heard growing up than snotty remarks about their size. In fact, many Americans today will testify childhood was an exceptionally painful time when they began to put on weight. In a perfect world, nobody should be the subject of derogatory comments about their appearance, but we're far more likely to end body shame when we eliminate anything to shame in the first place. Estlin, you are so right. I'm reading a comment by Estlin and Burt Golder. Get meat from local butchers. That's right. They will give you the best cut of meat, healthy meat, nutrient-dense, high-protein meats, and groceries that butcher their own. Butchers that butcher their own meat, I mean, they know the good cut of meat. They know where they're getting their meat. They know if it's FDA approved and really organic, and it really has. There's certain kind of labels that are really legitimate. They can tell you they're grass-fed, and if they actually are, if they're really organic, there's certain labels you can educate yourself on, and we gotta take control of what we put into our bodies. So don't depend on the government and or these companies, because they are all about making us sick. Stick with me, everybody. I'm telling you right now, I'm going to give you energy, longevity, and you're going to be strong. 67, I couldn't feel better or more stronger than I do today. Why? Nutrient-dense foods. I move a lot. I lift weights, playing tennis, and I make it a priority. I'm not in the gym hour after hour, but I get in there and I get it done, and I've made some changes since I've been certified by the Primal Health Coach Institute. I now not just go into the gym, do my weights, then I come home and I'm done for the day. No, I go in there, I get my gym done, and now where the gym is, I walk to the gym, I walk home. Later on, I may walk the beach, I jump rope, I play tennis, I play at something just for fun. And so you and I can do all sorts of different things that are an exercise, that are a workout, that doesn't have to be a gym routine or exercise. All right, everybody, I got a bunch of questions. And so now you can see I have my red light bar at the top here, and I have my police car, my gun, and my thin blue line flag, or as Kyle Reyes would say from Law Enforcement Today, I have my thick blue line flag behind me. And so if you're new, please subscribe to the channel. And I got my little please subscribe button here to remind you. So if you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for me. It tells the computer that people are interacting with the show. They'll show it to more people. And we can start making an army of healthy and strong American citizens. That is real patriotism. We got to be strong. We got to be healthy. And I'm going to be on you. Let's get this done. All right, let's get to the questions that I got. First, let me go to a question here. I got a comment by Estlin Burkholder. Big meat plants have meat from all over, gets shipped all over. One bad batch of input goes out to multiple states. Estlin, that is so true. So Estlin is commenting on, we went from a bunch, numerous, I guess you could call them slaughterhouses in this country, to now only a few. We have big meat packing plants, only a few, owned by these corporations. Why? Well, their intent was this. They wanted a hamburger in Florida to taste at their Burger King in Florida. They wanted that hamburger to taste the same as it does in California. So now they've decided they're going to control the slaughterhouses, the meat packing plants. And so they are controlling everything. And they're controlling now these big corporate-owned farms and what they feed these cows. And to graze them on grass and feed them grass is very expensive, takes too long. So now they're plying them with hormones, growth hormones, feeding them grains and wheats that they aren't meant to eat. They're made to graze on the grass. Try to get grass-fed meat. It's more expensive. I can't always get it. I don't always get it. But when I can, I do get it. All right, police-related questions, everybody, that I've been emailed to me. Why? Probably because I was a cop for 35 years. Also a comedian, also an actor, also a writer. Yes, I have a book. You can get it on Amazon. It's called Deputy. It talks all about my life as a cop in upstate New York, rural, south of Rochester, New York, where we had car deer accidents. That was the crime in progress. And then my career went to Los Angeles, the largest sheriff's department in the world. And it would talk about all my escapades in South Central LA, Compton area, working the Sunset Strip out of West Hollywood, stories at Universal Studios where we had a substation. And Deputy, the book is available, Amazon, paperback, Audible. And I dictated the Audible version. Get the book. I think you're going to like it. It's a short read. You can do it in one day. Let's get to the police questions. Number 1 on my 20 police questions. What inspired you to pursue a career in law enforcement? When I grew up, my dad was a cop. It's in the book, my dad was a cop. So all the time I'm growing up, I was all around cops. And my dad being a cop, and my uncle was a cop. And cops would come over at the kitchen table, drink coffee, and they would tell stories. I knew what my cop did. I knew what my dad did. I rode along with him in our local little town where he was chief of police. I was able to ride along and see what police work was all about. And that always surprised me because I thought, wow, I'm sure people get into police work based on maybe what they see on television alone, and they really don't know what police work is about. And so they get into this job and they go, well, this is not for me. I'm out of here. I know in LA we had a lot of people. Not a lot, but we had quite a few people quit because they go, this is not for me. Oh, no, I bit off more than I could chew. But luckily, and they try to mitigate that by allowing people to ride along if they're in college taking criminal justice. They let people come into the stations and see how the police operate. And they try to educate people what police work is about before you get into it. But that inspired me. My dad was a cop. My uncle was a cop. And so I grew up knowing what police work was about, and I saw that, wow, they really had fun in their work. They came home. No day was the same as another day, although in police work you get many boring days, which is interrupted by fleeting moments of chaos and excitement, but you just never know when it's going to happen. So you are kind of always anticipating action, but not always getting it. So it's kind of nice. Number 2, how has the role of a police officer changed since you started your career? Oh my God. Well, now I've already been retired for over 10 years. I started in 1977, 78. Even a marijuana seed at that time was a felony. Can you imagine? We had no radios. We had a radio in the police car, but I worked upstate New York, out in the middle of nowhere, boonies. And so we thought it was just great when we got pagers. And we thought that was ridiculous. Oh, so if the desk needs help, they could page us. If we needed help, what are we going to do with that pager? Hit somebody in the head with it? We had no radios. You were on your own, out in the middle of nowhere. Barroom fight. One deputy. To get help, you better get back to your car because that's the only radio available. So things have changed. Let's see. In high school, I took typing classes so that I could meet girls. And so I became a great typist. Typist? Well, I could type very fast, really fast, and 60 words a minute. Now, in police work, we wrote our reports pen or pencil. In LA Sheriff, we actually wrote them in pencil. And so my reports were considered crap. Why? Because I'm left-handed. I write funny. Even after I write my reports, I can't even read my own writing. Sloppiness. And the more I was writing, the sloppier it got because I got tired. And so my reports appeared to be crap, or were considered crap just based on how they looked. And I really didn't do a good job writing because I would get tired of writing with my left hand. And then we switched to computers and we could write our reports on a computer. And now my typing came in, and now I could type a report like this. And now they looked beautiful because they were all typed out. And so things have changed a lot. And now look, we got body-worn cameras and cameras everywhere. And I didn't have pepper spray. I did have mace. We had a nightstick. And so police work has changed in so many ways. It's unbelievable. And so a lot because it's been 35, 40 years going back. 3, can you share one of your most memorable experiences on the job? There's so many memorable experiences on the job. Oh my God, just meeting people at like a Universal City Walk. We had a foot beat there, and they had the Country Music Awards there, so I got to meet all these country music stars. So, there was always special moments. I can't even pick one in particular, but so many memorable experiences. I remember, oh my God, just meeting all these country stars at the Country Music Awards. It was just amazing. Meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger, meeting Lou Ferrigno on the job, very memorable experiences, just crazy, crazy good. But a lot of great memories, especially in Los Angeles. 4, what are some common misconceptions about being a police officer? Well, now the media has just made such a bad picture of cops that we're out there hunting minorities and blacks. That couldn't be further from the truth. I think Larry Elder out of LA, he really gave the statistics, I think in 2022 or 23. There was maybe only police killings, maybe 100 in the whole country, maybe less in Chicago, like 10 to 12. And it turned out there was more whites shot by cops than blacks were. And so the lies that are told and the misconceptions about cops is too, once the word gets out there, and once a false story gets out there, when the Michael Brown case, when it was over and over put out that he had said, or he put his hands up, don't shoot. And then come to find out somebody lied about that. It didn't happen. And they proved that it didn't happen. And so all this thing you saw on television with the NFL, hands up, don't shoot, didn't even happen. And so that's really, the misconceptions are numerous. In Los Angeles County, the Sheriff's Department, the sheriff went out of his way to make sure the demographics of the department matched that of the county. And they pretty much did. I was in recruitment, and they made darn sure they got pretty close to it. So the Sheriff's Department was 60-some% Hispanic. I think it was about 15 to 18% white. And then maybe, what do we had, 60, 75, maybe 12% black, and then maybe 4 or 5% Asian or others. But around there, but it was definitely 60% Hispanic. And maybe 15% white and then maybe 10% black. So maybe a misconception about the demographics of a lot of departments. Now, that's just LA, but they went out of their way to make sure that they were, before DEI was DEI, they were DEI. They were definitely very sensitive to diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so they went out of their way to make sure the department reflected the demographics of the county that we served. 5, how do police officers manage stress and maintain mental health? Well, I'm finding out not very well. On the LA Sheriff's Department, there were plenty of opportunities at stations and for athletic events to stay healthy. They tried their best to promote health, but, when you're working police work, constant changing of hours and shifts. I worked overnights, midnight till 8, 10 at night till 6 in the morning. You were on the opposite end of your circadian rhythm, and that creates a really high amount of cortisol, stress hormone in your body. It kind of affects how you process food and nutrients and fat, and you become very unhealthy. You're not getting enough sleep. And as much you try to do the best you can. That's why I think my health coaching, I think maybe I'm going to focus on retired officers, because that's where I can have my biggest impact, because cops on the job are in a tough spot. You work from 6 at night till 2 in the morning, and then you got a court case at 8 a.m., and you get to bed at 4. You're going to have to get up at 7, 3 hours sleep, and then you're going to have court. And then after court, you're going to be expected to go right back to work, and they're not going to care that you're going to go out and patrol tired. Lack of sleep is almost like being drunk, and departments should do a better job, and that's also going to lead to mental health issues. And a lot of officers they are finding really are suffering from PTSD. I've done a couple episodes. Go back and check them out on police suicides, and they were going up tremendously in 2020. And they tapered off a little bit, but there's still a high amount of suicides for first responders, not just cops. And it has to do with mental and physical health. And you really got to go out of your way. I went out of my way to make sure I was continuing my weight training. Even during the academy, on my 1-2 days off, I would make sure I went to the gym. And I didn't work a lot of overtime because I made sure that I was maintaining my health when I was working. And thus, retired now, 13 years, I'm in top physical condition. I could go back into the academy today, not by accident, not by heredity, not by DNA, but by intention. And so we have to do more to try to keep our officers and first responders in top physical shape, which is going to relate to mental health. 6, what was one of the most challenging aspects of your job? I mean, some of the challenging aspects that even went back to my job in upstate New York was just dealing with people who, dealing with death, people who died, making death notifications. It was just a hard part of the job. In upstate New York, had a lot of fatal accidents, people falling asleep at the wheel, having to make those notifications, and just being around fatal accidents. And that was just a tough part of the job. I had a call at a drive-in where 2 families parked next to each other, and 2 boys, one was visiting, they fell asleep in front of the car, and the girl who had the car, she had her 2 kids in the car, and the van next to them, they were getting all their kids in, but little did she know one of the kids had fallen asleep in front of her car. She ran over that kid in the drive-in. And that devastated me. I still think about it to this day. So dealing with death is tough, and it can flash in your mind, and those thoughts can kind of haunt you, and that can lead to, bad thoughts, depression. So you have to fight that. Physical activity, changing your state. That's where I employ all my personal growth and self-improvement tools that I use in neuro-linguistic programming, and trying to change my state. If I get into that funk of maybe memories that are bothering me, I can, change my physiology, how I move. Motion affects emotion. Then I can change my focus. I can focus on something else, and I can change what I'm saying to myself, my self-talk. So there are tools that we can use to get ourselves into a positive state of mind and try to counteract any kind of PTSD, things that might be lingering in our psyche. All right, where am I? 7. How can communities and police officers work together to build trust? Well, we try to do that at LA, and a lot of departments have those. They have school resources officers, so these officers of the department get to meet children in the community. They get to meet parents. There's neighborhood watch programs where it can be led by one of the cops who worked that neighborhood. Cops are learning in LA. We learned that we needed to have some foot patrols. And when I worked the Universal City Walk, just walking around and talking to people and businesses was so much better, being out of the car and not just being a police car that shows up when there's an emergency, but kind of in a non-stress situation, you're dealing with the police. The LA Sheriff's Department had a civilian academy where you could actually ride along on the in patrol with an officer, and then you actually spend a day on the desk and see how calls are dispatched. You get to go to the range and see how people qualify with the firearm. You get to go to communications and see how calls are dispatched, and you learn all aspects of the job, and you get to have relationships with police officers. And so there's outreach programs of the community and the cops, because cops are the community, right? Everybody, guess what? Your neighbor, maybe your son, your daughter, your mother, your father is a police officer. We're not some invading force. We are the community. And so the media can really skew that image, in a bad way. 8, what are some skills that are essential for someone in law enforcement? Well, you need to be able to talk to people. You need to be able to assess situations quickly and to be able to think on your feet and make critical decisions. And they test that when they give you the test. There's certain tests that will test your ability to reason and to kind of figure things out. They have certain psychological tests. You have to see a psychiatrist prior to be sworn in or going into the academy. And then when you get into the academy, they're going to train you to use your authoritative voice, take command of a situation, and they're going to train you. And what can help you is to become a police officer is to have a great background, take care of your credit, don't get arrested, don't use narcotics, these kind of things. Start thinking when you're young that you might go into law enforcement. 9, how do police officers handle high-pressure situations or emergencies? Well, you practice it in the academy. They teach you what you do in high-stress situations when when it's really an emergency command situation. You know what to do, how to set up a command post, request assistance, request help, how to set up containments, who to call, what kind of resources you need to get for every situation that comes up, whether it be medical, fire, additional officers, whether you need canine, or a helicopter. You learn to handle emergency situations, stay calm as you can, and you practice it. And in the academy, they put you in situations and they're going to evaluate you. And some people, they find out, are not meant for this kind of police work, and they don't make it through. So, and then when you're on the job and you're on training, you're going to continue to you're always being evaluated for job performance and your fitness for duty. So they're going to find out real quick if you can handle high-pressure situations or emergencies. 10, can you discuss the importance of continuous training in law enforcement? We always had in-service training, learning new things. And at LA County, we would have cultural diversity training. We would learn, don't do this. With Asian people, do not pat them on the head because that means something terrible and this. And so we would learn all the time. We would be getting trained, and we got sexual harassment training because of a lawsuit. So we learned about Title VII and sexual harassment law. And there's always new training on tasers or different non-lethal weapons that we use. There's always continuous trainings in your firearms and to control holds. And we get trained in those things as advancements occur. 11, how has technology impacted and changed police work over the years? Well, now as we talked before, you got body cams. We didn't have those. We didn't have the dash cams until I was well into my career. And you get, now we got computers on board that we can use to advantage. We can see where, now the computers, when we get a call, we put that we're en route. We hit a button, and now everybody knows we're en route to that call. We don't have to talk on the radio. When we get there, we hit another button. If we need help, we can hit a button. And if we're chasing somebody and they throw a gun out, we can hit a button, and it geotags the location where we hit that button so that you can go back later and search for that weapon. So technology is really come into play. And I'd like to get a current cop on the podcast so that he can educate me and you on the advancements in technology for police work. 12, what advice would you give someone considering a career in law enforcement? It's still a great career, I'm sure. I mean, there was a time when cops would want their sons and or daughters to join the force. Great benefits, great pay, great opportunities for different kind of jobs on the department. LA County Sheriff has about 400 different jobs that you could do, not just the main ones of the Aero Bureau and the K-9 drugs, gang units, forgery fraud units, all sorts of, there's terrorist prevention units. There's all these different units. And so we really need to do a better job of marketing the job. And now you're finding, because of defund the police and all the people are hating on the police, that people do not want the job, and rightfully so. Do I want to join a job where everybody hates you? They think you're the devil. They think you're out there hunting minorities. Why would I want to take a job where everybody thinks I am corrupt and I am looking to abuse my powers? And so now that we've painted that picture, no one wants the job, and now we wonder why we're not getting the high standard of police officer that we once got. Why are they lowering standards? We have to have people show up. Otherwise, what happens? We fill spots with overtime, and now those cops can't have time off. Now they're not getting rest. And now it's affecting their sleep, their mental health, and on it goes. So we got to have people sign up and become police officers. It has to be seen as a heroic job, as it is. It is a God-ordained profession. It's said somewhere that 2 God-ordained professions, the pastorate, being a pastor, clergy, and the peacekeeper, the police officer, God-ordained professions. You could go without a doctor for 10 years, and we would have a lot of people probably die for lack of treatment, but our society and our culture would survive. If you went 10 years without a law enforcement agency, it would be gone. Too much chaos, death, and destruction. Our society would not survive. God ordained. It's necessary. And so we need high-quality people, and we have to paint a picture. It's a heroic profession. So I would say, talk to me. I'll tell you why you should do it, and I want to get so that I'm telling you should do it. We always need good police officers. Victims of crimes or emergencies need good cops. And so we have to do a better job of painting the picture of what this career is about. 13, can you talk about the role of law enforcement in public safety and crisis management? Well, cops are going to be the first one that's going to be called no matter what's going on, whether it's people injured from an earthquake, or if it's not, even if it's not a crime thing, if it's a mental health person that needs assistance or is really losing their mind and threatening to hurt people, then we have to come in as law enforcement and manage that crisis situation. So no matter what it is, police are always called with the fire, with rescue, with, if it's an unknown, they send the police anyways so that we can find out and assess the situation. And we're trained in crisis management, whether it's floods, whether it's fires. We're trained in how to manage those situations and communicate with the resources that are needed to respond and protect life and property. 14, how do officers deal with the emotional impact of their work? And I talked about death, and that the best way is really through exercise, time off, our relationships with other people who are non-cops. In our department, if you're involved in a shooting, within a few days you are required to see a psychiatrist and you talk. If you're having any problems, you're having any bad dreams, what's going on, and you're on the desk until you are cleared by that visit to the psychiatrist. So police do things to overcome emotional impact of crisis and things they get involved with and the things they see every day on a day-to-day basis. You're seeing people at their worst. You're seeing a lot of death and destruction. You know, I was doing stand-up comedy along with being a cop. That really helped me to have those relationships with people outside of police work, seeing having other celebrations that we're not dealing with police work, positive contacts, positive relationships. We need to have those, and it's going to help our cops physically and mentally, and physical will help them mentally. And so that's how officers can deal with the emotional impact of their work. 15, what was your approach to maintaining work-life balance as a police? So like I said, I was always I started in the 70s. It was really promoted that you should be in a bowling league. So I was in a bowling league with my wife. We met other couples. It was a non-police bowling league. And then I always maintained my workouts, always had a weight training program that I was on, not just for my protection on the job, but just for my mental health also. And it's something I had habituated. I had a habit of working out. And little did I know that helped me physically and mentally. And I maintained a balance that way. And so I always took my vacations. I didn't I'm going to save my vacation time for 10 years and never take a vacation. No, I needed it for my mental health. And so I needed to get away. And a lot of people don't do that. And they retire and they die 6 months later. But at least they have all their vacation time, I guess. 16, how do police officers stay informed and adapt to changes in laws and regulations? Well, every day they go to the briefing room. And in the briefing room, they are going to be alerted to changes in law, changes in policy. They're going to say, hey, they're going to hand out, this is a change in case law, search and seizure. There's been a change. The Superior Court has come down with this ruling. This affects us. How? We can no longer do this. It's illegal to do this. Listen, the Supreme Court has ruled that someone is in a place they have a right to be, and they can film you even though you're wherever they have a right to be, they have a right to film. And so don't get caught up. It's illegal for you to tell someone they can't film you. That's just an example. So we're constantly being briefed on a daily basis. We go to the briefing. So we're not just told these are the stolen cars, wanted persons, this is what's going on in our districts. We're told about case law, legal issues, policy issues, things that are going on in the world that may affect us. There's been a lot of demonstrations for this. Be on the lookout for that. All right, where are we? Number 17. What measures are in place to ensure accountability and transparency in policing? Some would say not good enough, but really the dash cam footage, the body cam footage, and then it's available to people, the Freedom of Information Act. They can get that body cam coverage. There's usually policies in place, like the LA Sheriff. If you make a complaint, it has to be made to a watch commander so that complaint is immediately given a number, and it's made sure that a complaint investigation is done by someone who's not involved in the incident and who's not close to the person that the complaint is against. And they do stings, right? They do fake complaints to make sure, and then they call back later. Where's the number to that complaint number? And if you hadn't filled out the form and turned in that number to internal investigations, you'd be in big trouble. So after a couple stings, these watch commanders make sure that they start an investigation into any and every complaint. How important is community policing, and what does it entail? Well, these neighborhood watching programs, just working together with the community because they know what's going on more than an officer who's driving around in a car, and they don't spend enough time in the community to know what's happening. So they need communication back and forth so that they can partner up with the community. What are the major problems? The quality of life issues, not just crime, if there's no crime, but other quality of life issues that the officers can help with. Now that may mean, hey, people are leaving their garbage out, it's piling up, and I'm having a fight with my neighbor. Now officers don't just automatically say, that's not my problem. No, they will tell the community, these are the resources. Here's where you can call the waste management. This is where you can make a complaint. I'll keep an eye on this. I drive the neighborhood. You do what you need to do. I'll keep an eye on it. I have contacts too, and I'll put a log entry in that you've made contact with me about this quality of life issue. And so we always deal in quality of life issues, even if it's not crime. 19, can you share your thoughts on the future of policing? Yes. Well, you know what? I'm very excited about all those stories I read today from Law Enforcement Today. Kyle Reyes, maybe I can get him on the podcast. If anybody out there in the police field knows Kyle Reyes, let's get him on the podcast, and so we can help spread Law Enforcement Today. I am telling you, the amount of people that rode along with me in my police car when I was with the LA Sheriff's Department, and when they got done, they said, I didn't know you guys did this. I didn't know you did that. I am so impressed. I just can't believe all you guys do and what you do in your day. I had a thought like this. This was my impression, right? People respond to perception, not reality. We learned that in NLP. Well, people's perception of law enforcement is going to affect how they see law enforcement. If your perception of law enforcement is when you get stopped, this person's a racist, they're out to shoot you, and you're a minority, that's going to affect how you react to that person. That contact can go downhill real quick, and it could lead to something that maybe will have prevented it. It's a false perception. So I think the future policing is going to be great, because I think that cops are going to get better. They're going to be better, and we're going to have more accountability. Bad cops are going to be out quicker, and we're going to have better measures. It's going to be more maybe a partnership between the community and the police, even though we've tried to do that over the last 30 years. It can only get better. And now we have technology that can help us. And I think it's going to get better. I'm excited because, whether you like it or not, President Trump is a police supporter, and he will give law enforcement the resources they need to restore it so that public trust. Law enforcement cannot operate without public trust. Public trust in government and cops is low, very low. That's why we can't be very efficient and or effective in stopping or preventing crime. Going forward, we're pretty low, so going up is going to be easy. We're going to go, baby, go. Number 20, we did 20 questions, everybody. Proud of myself. What role can retired officers play in supporting active officers or their communities? You know, I can play a role in this type of podcast, in this type of video I can put out, sharing police stories and maybe my analysis of police incidents. I could probably do a better job myself of making videos and analyzing those situations, right? I can bring up those body cam footages, and I can analyze it from a police officer's point of view, and we can talk about it, and we can have everybody have a conversation about it. And so that's what retired cops can do, and they can play a more active role in talking to the community about law enforcement. Coffee with the Cops. Maybe I'll start a different channel on that, or maybe I should do it on this channel. Let me know in the comments what you think, and let me know if you like this type of format. Normally I'm talking about motivation, inspiration, health, strength, and philosophy, psychology. But today we did law enforcement stories, 20 questions to the cop, and we talked about some major law enforcement news issues from Law Enforcement Today and The Federalist, and a little bit of government news. And I hope you like this episode, everybody. If you want to see more of this type, or you don't like it, let me know in the comments. If you haven't already, do me a big old favor and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. So if you're listening on a podcast platform, hey, get over to YouTube and verify. I have a face for radio. You know I love you. That's the end of this episode. I'll see you in the next one.